everybody here. It's Teresa Sanderson. I'm very excited to connect with you today for another episode of our interview series, Igniting Impact, Influence, and Income. And today we have a very special guest with us today. Her name is Cindy Little. And Cindy, I want to thank you, first of all, for just joining us today and sharing some time with us. Thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Awesome. Awesome. So for those of you who've not met Cindy or maybe are not familiar with her yet, she is the CEO of a company called Health2Wealth Incorporated. She's a retired military medic, a retired gym owner and personal trainer, and an accumulative millionaire with a network marketing health company for the last 16 years. She is a health podcaster, and I love this name, A Healthier You, Little by Little. Absolutely love that. And an upcoming author. She has a new book coming out called Reflecting on Life, Growing Through Grief. Cindy is mother of two, married to the man of her dreams for almost 30 years. So Cindy, I want to thank you again for joining us. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Teresa. I can't wait to dive into this. It's going to be juicy.
I agree. And I think it's such a fun topic, igniting impact, influence, and income. And I think just the word impact has so much meaning to it in a lot of different ways. So to get started, I would just love for you, Cindy, to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and the kind of work that you're doing.
Okay. Well, as you alluded, I am a health podcaster, an upcoming author, a health professional, a health coach of almost 30 years. And now I'm moving more into the self-improvement aspect to include mindset and communication and relationships in terms of what we're going to be talking today. And all of it can be incorporated. Like when you have your health and your wealth, those combined, it's so important. You can't have really one without the other. It's nice to live with both, right, Teresa?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how do you get there? How do you get healthier? How do you get wealthier? And I believe it all boils down to relationships with yourself and with other people. And how you treat yourself and how you treat other people will net you success, right?
Yes.
So we're bettering relationships, bettering communications, and I talk a lot about mindset and help a lot of coaches, health coaches with that. I have a team of close to 29,000 people in my health business.
Nice.
Not very many people make it to the top of network marketing, and I can say that I've went to the top. And then sometimes it's a roller coaster. You don't always stay on top. Sometimes you come down. And how do you stay on top of sales? It's not an easy profession, sales, but it's very rewarding if you have the skills and the knowledge and the mindset to do it. And that's where Bank really comes in, Codebreaker Technologies, and why they buy. So I have the book, and I
love it. I've got
people.
mine back there behind me. Yeah.
and also I on the back of my phone, I have a little card area, and I pull out the 4 cards and I code people. And so that's one of it's a great ice-breaking tool to do a 90-second personality quiz on people. And it's easy. I just hand them the 4 cards, and there's 12 values on each card, and they sort them out. And that helps me with communicating in their value system, their personality value system. So it really sets me up for success. It sets them up for success, and it makes for a better conversation. So that's like, I'm really diving in really fast.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, this is awesome. And so, Cindy, I think you hit on something really important. I think there is a thing with network marketing, and that first of all, kudos and congratulations for reaching the top and for hanging around at the top with a group organization of 29,000. I mean, that's remarkable. And typically we don't hear that, right? Isn't there some kind of statistic? I don't know what it is, but less than 1% or something of people actually reach that. Yet everybody aspires to, right?
Right.
And typically there's one big barrier, and it's typically that thing of I hate sales, or I don't know how to sell, or all of those kinds of things. So I love what you were mentioning. And you and I are both part of Codebreaker Technologies and the Bank methodology. obviously both have the books. I've got the cards. I was going to pull them out of my drawer here, but it's so funny. How and why did you get started with Codebreaker Technologies and using the bank methodology? How and why did that all unfold for you?
Well, it's interesting that you say ask that question, Teresa, because the reality is, like I said, with network marketing or with a lot of companies, they can go really high and then come down and then go up and down. And how do you keep that forward momentum? 2 years ago, when I was introduced to it by Laurel Rolls, who you know in Texas,
Absolutely.
I met her on selling on the spot online, and I thought, and I typically take notice of the people on calls, and I thought I'm going to connect with her on LinkedIn. So I went over to LinkedIn, read her profile, and I was amazed at what she knew, like NLP,
Mhm.
relationship coaching, and communication for many years. I thought I'm going to reach out to her. She sounds like an interesting lady, and I always like to network with other people, other women and men
Mhm.
who do well in business. And
Absolutely.
so we set up a Zoom and we talked nonstop for an hour and a half. Like we were just so interested in learning about each other. And that's the nurturing in the both of us. Our first code
Mhm.
is nurturing.
Yep.
And it's just so amazing when you connect with somebody right away and you have a great conversation. Then you want to help each other because they say that people will buy from people they know, like, and trust. And we
Absolutely.
actually both supported each other's businesses and joined each other's businesses, one in health and one in wealth. Basically, that's what bank
Okay.
is.
Mhm.
And I said to her, it's the first tool that I've come across in 14 years of network marketing that actually entertained me and excited me to the fact that I knew that if I could employ this information, utilize the information, learn it, utilize it, and
Mhm.
share it with my team, that they could be better salespeople as well. And even my own sales skills, like you don't just stop learning, right? You don't
Right.
stop growing, you don't stop with the self growth. You always want to continually grow and learn. And
Mhm.
like, I mean, most network marketing professionals read books all the time to
Right.
grow, to learn, and to
Mhm.
improve. And you have to, in order in business, you have to pivot, you have to learn, you have to grow. And that's why I learned about the bank methodology and started sharing it with my team,
Love
and I
that.
use it now when I'm prospecting with people and connecting with people, because I think it's an amazing tool for that. and and I felt that my sales could come up again, and I thought if I could get that winning edge or that leading
Mhm.
tool that could help me and my team, then I was going to utilize it, and that's what I'm doing.
I love that. I love that. And you hit on a couple of key points there. Number one, that your relationship with Codebreaker Technologies began as a personal networking relationship with someone that you didn't even know, but
That's
someone
right.
whose credentials inspired you, obviously, and prompted you to reach out. And a lot of people, I think, are even timid about the networking game or the networking strategy. And I know for me personally, it was my commitment this year that I would no longer be an island. I will no longer have to feel like I'm the only one who can help and support my business, who can, you know what I mean, who can be everything that I need to be. And the truth is that we're stronger when we're together, you know.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I'm glad you just said that, Teresa, because I hop on with a business partner each day who just retired from her profession of 28 years to do
Mhm.
network marketing. And
Wow.
she just wants to do it from home, do it wherever, and travel, and all the fun things that network marketing can
Yeah.
provide. And she was having a tough day today. And I said, well, this is what I'm going to send you three different things. Like um, one was a chakra opening, one was a meditation music that helps
Love it.
with helping with stress, and one was an abundance accelerator, and all these different mindset
Mhm.
things that help. And she says, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that I'm partnered with you. And I said, hey, we're in this together. Like, we are here to support each other. That's why we do this together.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be an island in business,
You can't.
or you'll be submerged maybe at some point. You just can't do it all by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think, one of the interesting things, you and I were talking, I'm a nurse, and One of the things that I believe 99.999% of nurses don't believe they're doing every day is selling. But I've been a hospice nurse. I've sold the concept of do not resuscitate. I have sold the concept of a good death. Do you see what I mean? And really it's education, but it's being able to deliver that education in a way that the patient and the family can hear it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be in the right voice. And fortunately for me, during most of my nursing career, I've been very intuitive about the things I now connect easily with the bank methodology. I've been able to really listen in or hone in on those verbal and nonverbal cues from patients and families that I worked with to communicate well. But I didn't have a methodology. I didn't have a system. I was flying by the seat of my pants. And so when I first got started with bank, I was introduced to bank and Codebreaker from my very first business coach in the digital space. And Sherry Tree, the founder, came in and she delivered a 50-minute presentation called Why They Buy. It knocked my socks off. I had never dreamed that sales had a formula, right? That there was actually, you can predict what's going to happen and you can evaluate how many attempts do you need to make before you're going to have a sale. You can predict your own success, but better than that, you can clearly understand how you need to present your product or service so that you have the best odds of someone saying yes. Mm-hmm. And when I first got started in my online business just a couple of years ago, I was falling flat on my face in sales. And so when I first got started, it was because I needed to improve my sales. And, so when I heard, oh my gosh, you can increase your impact and income, increase your sales up to 300%, I said, sign me up. I need that. Whatever it is, I need to learn it. And that's what drew me in. But probably like most people in bank, I've had significant things that came up afterward that I didn't expect to learn from it, that I didn't expect to gain from it. Has the same kind of thing happened to you, that you got maybe different experiences or different rewards from using the bank methodology than you had originally thought?
Well, it's interesting because the bank methodology is not just for business, it's for personal relationships. And I coded all of my family, and I was shocked at my mother's code. And because she had a grade 6 education, I wouldn't have thought that knowledge was her first category.
Wow.
I always thought that knowledge people went to university or at least high school, and she didn't go to high school.
Mm-hmm.
And it made sense that with their values, they don't like to be touched. And my mom is not a touching, caring, emotional kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
And it made sense to me that she was a knowledge first, not a nurturing first.
Wow.
And so it almost helps you forgive your parents by knowing what their code is, and even your children too, because your children could headbutt with you and not agree with some rules in the house, for example.
Yep.
And Darren, my husband, and I both come from military backgrounds, military families, and we grew up with rules and structure and systems and planning because both our parents were military. And
Okay.
I suppose when I was in the military for 6 years, I was more of a planner. I was probably more of someone to follow the rules. Now I'm kind of a rule breaker. I don't follow the rules. So it's shocking. And even after there could be a life circumstance where your code changes as well. And that was a bit shocking for me too. Not all parents have had to deal with what I had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And before 2 years ago, I was like very competitive. I wanted to win. I cared about competition and opportunity, and I was excited and I was all full of action. And that went to the end of my code structure when a tragic accident happened to our 21-year-old son, and he died in a car accident. And things just weren't the same anymore. And And like I said, the action card fell to the end. It just wasn't important to me. So my sales started to come down because I wasn't focused on sales. And
Got
so
it.
that can happen to anybody.
Mhm.
Anybody in business, you're going to have, you could potentially have something tragic happen to you that might
Mhm.
take you out of the game. How do you stay in the game? How do you keep going forward, putting that foot forward? Well, for me, it was writing my book, which helps on reflecting
Mm.
on life and growing through grief. And also learning this methodology helped me understand myself and all of the people around me too, who were trying to nurture me or not nurture me because they didn't have the value set to do that, and not be upset with them. So that was a bit shocking, like in terms of my own parents and how they reacted to the death of their grandson.
Wow.
um yeah, they weren't able to nurture me, and I just had to be okay with that. And now that
Mhm.
that could
Mm.
really offset a relationship going forward for a lot of people. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so understanding the methodology and the value systems of people really puts it in perspective, like, hey, I'm not going to be mad at them. They don't even have those kind of skills, like, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Well, first of all, I'm so sorry that you had to experience that. I'm a mother of five, and I cannot even begin to imagine, the sorrow that must have accompanied that. And then the change. I think that's very interesting that you mentioned that even your personality code changed during that time. And I think that to me just reflects how significant that event was,
mhm.
for you, that it changed the essence of who you were for a time, and
Yeah.
probably even now.
And so my knowledge went up during that time because I started thinking about universal truths. I started
Mm,
thinking about science and logic, and I wanted to learn everything there was to learn about grief and the grief
mhm,
process
mm,
and dying, because dying doesn't mean that you're dead
yeah,
necessarily. If depending on what you read and what you believe and what you learn, and
sure.
seeing the big picture, I think is something that my son, he was knowledge first, and I didn't realize that till I coded him. So I think he wanted me to see the big picture, and really the
Mm,
big picture is is reflecting on life and being okay with day-to-day occurrences. Like, there is
mhm,
going to be things that happen that aren't going to go our way, and how do we navigate those? And it's
mm.
whether you can navigate them or not, that's going to keep you going.
Oh, wow. That is just beautiful and so profound. And I think, yeah, um, I have not gone through anything like what you've been through, but when I experienced a divorce, it was worth it to me to invest the time to heal and explore the feelings, feel all the things. And I read this book once, one of my favorite books of all time, called Growing Strong at Broken Places, that said, unless our hearts are truly broken into and not just broken, we shed tears that turn no mill. And for me, I thought, these tears cannot be for nothing. I've got to figure this out and get the lesson that's intended.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I remember sitting on our son's memorial bench a year after, and I still felt lost and uncertain for the first time in my life, because I was always driven to win and do and, keep moving. And, and the book came to my mind, like, I got to write a book on this, that, about reflecting, because I was going there to reassess and reflect on life, like, what really is important. And it does also boil down to how you treat other people and
Mm,
relationships.
yeah.
And that's what bank is all about, is, and
Mhm.
corporate for technologies, it's about relationships, because really in the end that's all that really matters.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We are so aligned in so many ways. When you say relationships are all that really matter, as a hospice nurse, at the end of people's lives, Dr. Ira Byock wrote a book, and it's called The Four Things That Matter Most. And at people's deathbeds, what they're concerned about is, please forgive me. I forgive you. Thank you. And I love you.
Mhm.
And that's it. And you see it over and over and over again. So I wholeheartedly agree. Relationships are what it's all about. And so relationships make or break our families, they make or break our businesses, they make or break our friendships. We are all interconnected. And when we don't know how to relate to each other, that's where the big problems happen.
Mhm. And relationships with ourselves, most importantly, because you have to put
Mm,
the oxygen mask on yourself, figure out
mhm,
who you are and why you do the things you do.
mhm.
And if you can, I mean, we have a whole vault of information, hours of interactive training that
Yep.
teach you about each of the personality values and why they're so important to know are the triggers, what are the tripwires, what makes a yes, what makes a no. And it starts with even yourself
Yeah.
learning your own code and then being able to help other people with no helping teach that and pay it forward.
Hmm. Oh, I love that. Such good stuff here. And, you know, talking about that, let's go a little bit deeper into sales and that kind of thing. So, bank is the only personality assessment that's scientifically validated to predict buying behavior in just 90 seconds. How has understanding the personality code of your clients and potential clients helped you in your business?
Well, understanding the code will help how you approach the person. For nurturing people, they like teamwork, they like a relationship and authenticity. And if you come at them with a hard sale, they'll say, "Whoa, I just wanted to get to know you."
Yeah.
Happens all the time on LinkedIn. I'll friend request or connect with somebody on LinkedIn, and automatically they have this scripted sale. And what they're doing is saying, I can help you with 100 leads in 30 days and you should sign up
Yeah.
for my system. Or it's like, what? I'm just connecting with you. How do
Yeah.
you don't know anything about me? You don't know.
Right.
I might have made more sales than you have. And like people do that in network marketing as well.
Yeah.
They'll reach out to somebody with the script saying, I got this great system and you'll benefit from it. It's like, well, did you even look at my profile first to know that that's what I actually do? And that I'm very successful in it. So it can be it can reduce a lot of no's by knowing how to approach somebody. And when people who are knowledge or blueprint and they want more information, some people get irritated, like maybe action people get irritated, like why aren't they just saying yes, why don't they get
Right.
this? It's because blueprints and knowledge people like more resources and
Right.
documents, and they want a system and a process that they can follow. So you can't go too fast with those kinds of people. So
Right.
it's so important learning about
Hmm.
people prior to meeting them. And then we learn the ability to speed code people, and
Yes.
and just by the way that they're dressed, what time do they show up, what kind of vehicle do they show up, what does their garage look like. So
Yes.
like learning these little tips is really key in how to approach those kinds of people.
I love that. So many important points there. And I think, for me, a couple of things stood out about the bank methodology. And one was, that it's scientifically validated, right, to predict buying behavior. Thought, wow, what a major tool to have to be able to feel ready to go into a meeting, right? I just thought that's pretty amazing. But then the other thing was, everybody hypes up personality assessments, and I was so skeptical. I'd taken so many, and they were fruitless. They would tell me about me, but there was nothing actionable that I could use that for.
Mhm.
And so when I learned about bank and I saw that this tells me about the person who's going to be sitting in front of me, and then it tells me how I need to show up for them, how I need to talk to them, how I might dress for them, if they might need a handout or not. Holy
Mhm.
smokes, that was huge.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just never seen anything like it. And even today, I just, it's so great to be able to just, you probably do the same thing, but one of my one of my practices is before I sit down and have a meeting with somebody, I just want to refresh my memory on what is their personality code before I sit down, that, just kind
Yeah,
of, get myself in the zone so that I'm ready to show up as the best version of me for them to serve them better.
right.
you know so interesting. How's your team um doing, working with the bank methodology, and how's all that going?
Well, the ones that are using it they're fairly new in using it
Love
still.
that.
So I think that they're finding it quite helpful because like
That.
even making scripts and replies back to people in their code so that when someone sends us a message, we can put it through a decoder and analyze what values they're leading with. And then we can script something back in the values that they led with so that we're talking on the same playing field as them. I find that
Love
one
that.
of the biggest values to our team because with new network marketers, they don't know what to say to people
Mhm.
necessarily.
Yep.
Even if it's the best case scenario and it's even their best friend, some
Right.
people still just feel awkward. They feel insecure in what to say to people, and so this really helps with the scripting. If that's, not everything is scripted, but
Right.
it gives you pointers on how to best associate or reply back
Mhm.
in the values that they value.
Yeah. I think it's, and it's so smart. I think today, AI is everybody's buzzword right now with the advent of Chat GPT and Jasper and all of the things that are going around with artificial intelligence. But I think, in my personal opinion, when I think about the personality code of my prospect, before I even get into AI and thinking about that, I believe the personality code is the missing piece of the customer avatar. Everybody always says, know your ideal client, know their age, know where they work, what kind of education do they have, do they rent or buy their home, all these things. And those things are important, yes, but what is their personality code? How should I show up for them? How should I talk to them? And you never get a second chance to make a first impression. That's
Mhm.
why those chat messages on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever, like you said, you can get the really spammy one, or you can get the one that's written customized for you so that
Right.
it's music to your ears when it lands in your inbox and you think, this is somebody I probably would like to learn more about, rather
That's
than move to my other folder.
some you don't even want to engage with at
Yeah,
all. Uh,
exactly.
yeah, like delete.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's what gives network marketing and a lot of sales, right? The bad reputation that everybody you encounter is going to try and sell you one way. And pretty much that's what we've learned, sadly, for decades,
That's
is
right.
if you're in sales, you do it this way. And it's usually a hard sale
Yeah.
based on what you need, which is the sale and the commission from the sale. And it's not at all, customer centric.
Yeah, like 2 years ago when I met Laurel, we weren't trying to sell each other. We just genuinely wanted to get to know each other to see if maybe there's a way that we could help each other.
Love
And in
that.
business, you really want to build your network and see how you can help one another. It may not work out that you have something that you can help each other with, but they'll keep it in mind like, oh, Cindy had a son who died. She wrote a book about it.
Mm,
When you hear of somebody whose son who or child who's died, that will be a good book to read. So see these things, like when I do my health podcast, I have them on, and let's say they're a sleep expert or they're a sex
mhm.
therapist or something like that. Like I know a lot about nutrition and exercise. That's been my background for 30 years, but I
Sure.
don't know everything there is to know about sleep and all these other modalities. Health is a big field, right?
It
So
is.
you need
Uh-huh.
to pull people in and
Mm,
interview them and see if you can help them. Like if I could refer people to even you, Teresa, now that I know that you help nurses start businesses, I'll think, oh,
yeah.
I actually know some nurses that are trying to get out of the nursing profession and they may
Love
want
that.
to start a business. And so you'd be a perfect, like I would definitely send them your way because
Right.
you're a great person.
Well, thank you for that. And likewise, but and this is this is as simple as networking is. And I just love this because, you know, I feel so blessed, in life that I meet some of the coolest people every day, right?
Yeah,
That's what being an entrepreneur is like. It's meeting a lot of neat people and just making connections. And when it comes down to it, business isn't about contracts. It's not even about the sale. It's about the relationship.
absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
would I value a relationship over a sale any day.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
hear you. I hear you.
I think most people do. I mean, I don't think anybody likes to be spammed.
Right. Right. Well, there's nothing personal about that. And our world is impersonal enough.
Yes.
It's impersonal enough. Yeah, personal connection really matters. Cindy, I'm going to shift gears here just a little bit, and I'm going to ask you, what advice would you give somebody who's struggling to market their business or create income through sales? What advice would you give that person?
So for marketing specifically, what if they're struggling for marketing or struggling for sales because of marketing?
Let's do that version. They're struggling with sales because of marketing.
Okay, and this is where our AI can definitely help them. So, like on LinkedIn and on Facebook, what I do is I script something that hits all of the personality values, and I
Mhm.
run it through the AI to verify whether I hit all the personalities. And if I haven't, if something's really low, then I'll add some words that might entice that personality value to take a look or to even listen. And even with
Mhm.
my book, on the back of a book, that's marketing. So if let's say
Mhm.
you're writing a book and you're writing something on the back of the book, run it through the AI and see if you're talking to all four personality codes. Because if it's only screaming
Mhm.
one and it's all action, you're going to lose out on the nurturing, the blueprint. You're going to lose out 75% of the population. And so, yeah, so marketing, when you're making, like, even I have I have a lot of real estate friends, and I ran one of their, they weren't selling a house too well, and I said, well, send me what you wrote about the house, and I put it through the AI, and I actually used the voice input. I read the article, the listing,
Love it.
into the voice input and hit the record button, and it only had two of the personality codes. They were only speaking to action and nurturing, and they left
Oh
out the knowledge and the
man.
blueprint. And so I was able to help them submit words, and they actually bought the subscription to be able to have it in their own back office, and they can quickly run things in and
Love
increase
that.
the amount of readership. So there's definitely that. And for marketing, I don't know, is that enough, Teresa, or do you want to add
Yeah, I
something?
mean, I just love that. And so, for someone who's unfamiliar with the bank methodology, four personality codes, we've got blueprint, action, nurturing, and knowledge. And the thing is, I always kind of describe us as, we are a combination of all four of those things, and we move in and out of the codes all day long. And it's kind of like, from a nurse's perspective, it's like a set of vital signs. We all have a complete set
Yeah.
of the four, right? And they're only it the difference is just what's in first, second, third, and fourth place. But I love what you said about, it's important to include all of the personality codes. And so that Codebreaker AI is just so state of the art to be able to, for instance, you spoke the words into it, and then you click a button that says decode, and poof, it tells you what personality it's written in, which is so great. The other thing I love to do with it is copy and paste either email messages or text messages or anything like that. It's just another great way to be sure that we're responding the right way.
Mhm.
Again, that first impression,
Yeah.
especially in the digital age, that may be all you get is that one message. They're not looking at your face, they're not hearing your voice, they're not seeing any nonverbals.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of it's that one shot.
Yeah. Yeah. And like
Sure.
when you're doing video on either Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, whatever social media you use, showing up with a smile first is going to attract people, right? Like, because
Mm-hmm.
people can read your energy.
Yes.
And it's that question that you ask, that's the first question in the first 3 seconds. Are you engaging them with your aura, your energy, your smile, your well-being?
Right.
Because people are attracted to that.
Yeah.
Or they could be distracted from it too. So, be careful what you're wearing, how you're presenting yourself. There are some people, as soon as they hop on, they go like wild with something, and it's like, oh my gosh, calm down.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a little fun.
I love that. I love that. So, one last question here, Cindy. I would just ask you before we finish up, and you get to share a little bit more about your business and how people can connect with you. Are there any daily best practices that you have in place as far as how you use codebreaker technologies, the bank methodology, the personality assessments? If you have one or two best practices that you use, you do, or practice every day, I guess I should say, what would those be?
Okay, well, I typically send the 90-second personality values quiz to people if I'm going to do business with them,
Love
because
it.
then and I usually have to explain to them that it helps with better communication and allows me to address you in your value system. And
Mm-hmm. Love it.
typically people don't have hesitation, and they get a 22-page report on it, and it gets emailed to them, and so it's a $99 value they get for free. So that's something that I do. Or
Love
actually,
it.
it's funny because I was just on a trip, as you know, and it was my health conference, my annual health conference, and I took a number of Ubers, I took a couple of planes, and I sit, like, even just sitting next to a person on the plane, I'll pull them out and say, hey, you want to do something fun? And then they'll look at me like, what? And so then I have their attention,
Love
and
it.
they sort the cards. And the Uber driver thought that was just amazing. The guy on the plane thought it was amazing. He says, how do I get a set of those cards? And so it's an icebreaker. It gets
Yeah.
to build the speed of a relationship fast. And actually, it does help in a sale faster, because you get to know the person better and understand them better. And they understand
Mm-hmm.
you better too when you share your code. So that's what I do. Like, typically, if I'm
Nice.
meeting people for the first time, I crack their code. There's training systems, modules that are 4 to 8 minutes long, and I used to plan in the morning to watch 15 to 30 minutes of it. And so, yeah, like, there's like those things
Fantastic.
I try to add in. And then, of course, using it when I'm reaching out to people, like, oh, and also on LinkedIn. Can I talk about that, the AI on the LinkedIn?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so there's a Chrome attachment on LinkedIn where we can push a button, and it will decode the words on the LinkedIn profile of an individual, and it will kind of put that person in the code system or the value system based off of their professions and the words that they've used. And that kind of gives us an idea of how to reach out to them as well. So that's
Mm.
something that I use. I use LinkedIn quite a bit for
Same.
my health business. Yeah.
Love that. Oh my gosh, so many great practices in there. And thank you for sharing that, because I think, the thing is, from what I hear you're describing, these are quick things that you can do. There's not anything that takes a whole lot of time. I mean, AI is the snap of a finger, and it can be so fast, and simple to implement. I love that. Love
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Cindy, I want to thank you for joining us today and for being my guest. What I'd like to do now is give you the floor so that you can share with our audience how they can connect with you, maybe a little bit more about your business. If there's anything special that you'd like them to know, now's the time. You've got the floor.
Oh, you're very sweet. Thank you, Teresa, for
You
having me on.
bet.
Well, most people can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is Cindy Little on LinkedIn, and feel free to, if you're needing any health tips. I have a Facebook page, Health2Wealth, with the number two, and I also have a website, health2wealth.ca, www.health the number two wealth.ca, and that's where people can listen into the podcast. They can reach out to me, learn a little bit more about the systems of nutrition that I use. And I mean, Teresa and I are here to help each other with the bank community. If you're wanting to learn more about the personality profiling, that's what we love to encourage people to crack your code as well. And I'm sure Teresa will have that personality link somewhere for you guys to crack the code. That's a start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing is just, keep evolving. You want to increase your impact, your influence, and your income. It's so important to just keep evolving, keep listening, and keep learning. That's the thing. And I love how you mentioned that so often through our interview today, Cindy. That's just fantastic. But again, I want to thank you for joining me today and being my guest on this episode of Igniting Impact, Influence, and Income. And to everybody here, we will see you next time on our very next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an awesome day. Bye for now.